My name is Daniel Volovets, and this is my Minnesota music story. Actually though, there's a bit more to my story than just music. I'm a guitarist and composer, but I'm also a physician resident specializing in psychiatry. My story is about two passions that I love equally: music and medicine. I come from a musical family, with my parents and siblings all being musicians in some capacity. My parents immigrated from the former Soviet Union, and some years later I was born here in Minnesota and have lived here ever since. Growing up, I was acutely aware of being in some ways caught between two cultures. On the one hand, being proud of my Russian Jewish heritage, but on the other also realizing that there was another culture in which I was growing up around. Amidst the second generation immigrant experience, I was also fascinated by music from a very young age. We always had music playing in the house, all sorts of genres and artists from many different countries. I suppose I absorbed all this music in one way or another because at the age of 6, I insisted that I wanted to play the guitar. And you have to understand one thing about me at this age. I was a pretty hyper, perhaps not so serious kid, so this request was a little bit out of character for me. But my parents agreed, and so I had my first guitar. A small plastic thing that nevertheless played a really important part in my story. It was on this guitar that I had my very first lessons with the great classical guitarist Anatoly Shapiro, my first maestro who taught me more than I can put into words. He taught me not only the fundamentals of guitar and music in general, but along with my second maestro Tony Hauser, encouraged and supported me in my efforts to find my artistic voice. Looking back on 22 years of playing guitar, I've been lucky enough to cross paths and collaborate with many incredible artists, including my younger brother, Adrian, a talented multi-instrumentalist. He's currently pursuing a master's degree in sacred music at the University of Notre Dame. So unfortunately, our collaboration is on a bit of a pause right now. But through my collaborations with him, many other artists, and my own solo endeavors, I began to gravitate toward creating arrangements and my own original compositions, through which I came to realize I can best express my artistic self. Since composing my first piece and creating my first arrangement around the age of 15, I've since composed and arranged several hundred pieces alongside my studies of the classical, jazz, and flamenco repertoires. And it is these compositions and arrangements more than any others that have been with me through the good and the difficult times, and through which I truly bare my soul to those around me. As I grew as an artist, so too sprouted another passion. I realized that I wanted to become a physician. Inspired by my great-grandmother's stories of being a nurse during the Second World War, as well as my mother's multifaceted career in medicine that ultimately led her to become a psychiatric nurse practitioner, my guitar was never jealous as I prepared for countless tests and later spent long hours studying and working in many local hospitals in the Twin Cities. It's been a delicate balancing act full of surprises and challenges, not the least of which has been pursuing medical training amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. But pursuing both careers has allowed me to gain a deeper understanding of the fact that there's actually quite a bit of overlap between them, ultimately allowing me to become both a better doctor and artist. I've been lucky enough to have had the help of many loved ones as I pursue careers in both fields. Without their support, I would not be able to be where I am today. As you might have gathered, listening to my story so far, I have many role models, one of whom I haven't mentioned yet, and that's my third maestro, the Dutch flamenco guitarist El Payo Humberto. He lived in Minnesota for several years, and one day I approached him for lessons focusing on traditional flamenco, and he agreed to teach me. I showed up for our first lesson, expecting it to be the usual hour, but soon I realized we were well over and still playing. I look at the clock at the end, and we're at 2.5 hours. I asked him, "Humberto, how much do I owe you for this lesson?" And I'll never forget what he told me. He said, "Daniel, you owe me passion and dedication." Passion and dedication. These two words turned out to be so important in my pursuit of careers in two seemingly disparate fields, and they are also the words that I live by in my desire to give back to the community. When it comes to music, I'm passionate about teaching, and have taught many students over the past 10 years. I'm also passionate about sharing my music with the community through live performances. With regard to medicine, my residency is based at Hennepin County Medical Center, a county hospital that works primarily with underserved populations. It's a privilege to serve and learn from those whose voices have been marginalized for many years, and likewise to play a small role in the fight toward health equity and racial justice. To say the least, giving back to the community will be a lifelong endeavor. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope to see you around at a concert one of these days. Take care and stay safe.